Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So I did not record videos for the past few days. I do apologize. I would want to be recording them every day. However, the last few days I've been just absolutely bombarded with midterms and finals about halfway through the semester. So now during the upcoming next week, I'll be probably uploading every day if, not maybe missing 1 or 2 days. But regardless, we have a moderate risk of severe thunderstorms, right? So you've been probably hearing this all over the YouTube, wherever the news, right? Potentially a large tornado or just severe weather outbreak is going to be occurring tomorrow, especially tomorrow. Some are possible today, and some will be possible on Thursday, but in different locations. So we'll be going over that. Moderate is not often issued. I wouldn't say it's rare. Each year there's several areas that get under a moderate risk. A high risk, which is the highest of all, hasn't been issued since I think early 2017. So this is usually the highest it gets, but it could get higher. Regardless, there's a lot of people that are kind of, debating, whether it's going to go higher or not. The point is, it doesn't matter if it's going to go higher or not. The threat is going to be what Mother Nature decides it will be, right? So we could do our best to predict it, and it's our best to prepare for the worst, I guess, but without panicking, right? By the way, if you guys would like to support this channel, you can do so by subscribing. This is just something I do for the fun of it. I'm not a meteorologist. I'm a hobbyist trying to help people be better prepared for the weather. So do this for the fun of it. But okay, let's start getting into this. Also, if you have any questions or comments concerning the severe weather outbreak or just anything about weather or just life in general, leave them down below. Okay, so today, right, it's Tuesday. This is what it looks like. Anywhere in that light green, the lightest of all green, is just a general thunderstorm risk. And then once we get into the marginal, slight, and enhanced, obviously those are varying in terms of danger, increasing as you get towards enhanced, of severe thunderstorms. Not just thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms. Severe thunderstorms usually have winds that are higher than 58 miles per hour, hail that is usually 1 inch or bigger in diameter, and possibly the supercell kinds can have a tornado threat. Notice this is the categorical, right? They divide it into a tornado, which you can see it's 5%, nothing too extraordinary today, but an isolated tornado is definitely possible. Notice wind is a bit higher at 15%, and hail is definitely at highest at potentially 30%. So definitely something to watch for. Hail is could be equally as damaging as, say, a wind threat, as the hail is big and can penetrate a lot of things you thought aren't possible, right? Sometimes even the roofs of houses if they get extraordinary. But regardless, notice tomorrow this risk shifts east, right? So if you live across Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, anywhere in this red, be prepared. Even if you're at the edge, you're like, oh, I'm almost at the edge of this, I'll be fine. This is a forecast. This isn't what's going to happen. Hopefully it will be, but probably there will be some deviations, right? And these thunderstorms could be strong and severe outside of that red. And they say that anywhere in that really green and onward could be a chance for severe thunderstorms. They just get more likely as you get towards the center. And again, these are dangerous, and just be prepared. Be on the watch, on the radar. Keep your eyes to the sky. Don't panic. This isn't something to frighten over or worry about. The chances of you getting destroyed by a tornado are small, but they're there, right? But it's definitely not something to be panicked about. Something definitely to keep an eye on for, and act responsibly, and you could potentially save your life and others if it does come down to it. It's always it's a very small chance, but once it does happen, it's always regret, right? So categorical, right? You could see obviously centering across the northern Mississippi, eastern Alabama, really just northern Alabama area. Meant to say western, not eastern. Tornado threat you could see is pretty high tomorrow. It's at the 15%, way higher than it is today. Today's is only at that brown 15 or 5%. Wind also pretty high, and hail is also pretty high, but not as high as sometimes it does happen to be. Hail sometimes is at 45 or even 60, but thankfully it's not. But unfortunately, the tornado is at a pretty high rate, pretty high risk. Thankfully, it's not at a 60, which is just astronomical. Hopefully that doesn't happen ever. It has happened before. Okay, so that's what the Storm Prediction Center thinks will happen. In terms of the radar, just to give you a look at what's happening right now across the United States, a bit of light snow and rain across the north, the east. This isn't really severe weather. There could be some powerful, I wouldn't say severe, but some powerful storms that could be occurring across Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. You can see that they do have some supercell like structures, but again, today is not the main threat. Definitely some hail and some damaging winds are possible. Maybe an isolated tornado, though. Again, mainly the wind, rain, and the hail. Right here, there could also be a threat for severe weather. Oklahoma, Texas, even in some of the areas where that winter storm watch is issued, which will come afterwards. So definitely a quick change around will be happening. You can see a winter storm watch for several inches of snow is possible. There could also be a bit of snow across the Kansas City, northeastern Kansas, northwestern Missouri area. Now, let's track this forward to the last 6-7 hours of this radar loop. And notice, right, this is a cold front, and yeah, a cold front, and it's not really sagging to the south. It's lifting northward, which allows a lot of this warm air to be just freely moving upwards. It's not getting pushed down by this cold front, and let's, come on, wait for this to load. Notice its movement is from west to east, not really north to south. You can see it's been just kind of dragging along, bringing bouts of showers and storms. Again, nothing too significant. If you think these are powerful and you get hit by one today, then yeah, severe thunderstorm would be way worse for you. Okay, her model, right? I like this model. It's generally good. Let's see what it thinks will happen tomorrow. Hour by hour. This is what I want you guys to pay attention to. You can see that at 2 o'clock, this is what it shows. I'm recording this at around 3:30 my time, Central Standard Time. So this is what it should be looking like. This is what it actually looks like. Pretty close. Some of these storms are a bit weaker than what this model shows, which are some pretty powerful storms. So definitely, though, expect throughout the night, if you live across Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, you may be seeing cloudy skies, clear skies, and a little one of these thunderstorms may pop up on you. Shouldn't be too significant, though some heavy rain will be possible. Notice they do start to get a bit bigger towards the night, but the daytime kind of goes away right in nighttime, so they really lose a lot of their energy and vigor. But where they do start popping up in the late evening hours is across Texas, and this is just system energy. This isn't anything to do with daytime heating. You can see it's going to be 11 o'clock, so well after sunset. Notice, right, northern panhandle of Texas, Oklahoma, just south of Oklahoma City, right, we have several areas to watch for. Look at this. So we have this perfect layout. We have several areas to watch for. This is at around 4 o'clock in the morning. A pretty organized, heavy rain-producing band of potentially tornado making clusters of storms right there, moving to the north and east. This will be probably kind of weakening, but a lot of rain and some large hail is possible. This one a bit more organized, definitely a threat for some large hail and some significant wind and very heavy rain. And of course, along this cold front, a pretty good chance of some severe thunderstorms. You could see some thunderstorm activity first across Texas at around 7:10 today, 7 to 10. And then we start seeing the snow move in. So definitely a quick change around. And notice we have the largest band of our concern. I wouldn't say largest concern area, but the largest swath that it covers is right here across Kansas to Missouri. And some powerful storms will be likely, and quite a bit of heavy rain as well. Notice that as we push this forward into time, so we are at 4 a.m. right now. Let's track this forward. And notice that these start congregating. All right, notice that we start, Oklahoma City, by the way, you might get lucky and not really see much. Lucky or unlucky, depending on who you are. But you can see we have a cluster here again, right? We have a cold front that starts developing with these little tiny isolated showers. Again, they're tiny, they look small, but they could pack a punch and be pretty powerful. And some of these may turn tornadic and start spinning, though the chances of that are pretty low. And tomorrow is mainly the bigger day for that. Well, this is tomorrow, but tomorrow later on in the day. Notice Amarillo seeing some snow, the Panhandle. Right, we do start seeing this cluster move towards Kansas City. Maybe not severe weather. Really, definitely you'll see some lightning and some thunderstorms, but mainly the heavy rain. And then notice through Texas, Dallas, right, some scattered showers, rain, nothing too significant until it passes you, and that's when it could start intensifying. Notice, right, definitely a chance for some tornadic activity with this right here across Arkansas, Tennessee. These storms are single. They're not embedded in a line of powerful storms, and they could definitely start spinning quicker than one would think. If you think this is bad and this is as bad as it's gonna get, this is only where the danger stuff starts happening, right? So all of these storms could pack a punch. They could always leave roadways flooded or pack pretty powerful winds, right? That could toss over vehicles, potentially high-profile vehicles, patio equipment, all sorts of that. Those classic inconveniences with a smaller storm, and they could drop some again. Said hail, wind, and pretty heavy rain. As those move to the north, you could see they start becoming more into rain clusters. What we start seeing at around the 1 to 2 o'clock hour. So really, at around right now, around 24 hours from now, we start seeing these little clusters developing, and I think this is underestimating some of this. But you could see they are pretty big and they are powerful and they are free moving. They are each separate. They're not associated with a line. So these could much easier spin up a tornado. They're definitely more isolated, but if they come over your area, that you will know that you're getting hit by a pretty strong thunderstorm. Not necessarily each one of these will have a tornado. Maybe none of these will have a tornado. And that is unfortunately not predictable. The meteorology that we have right now is pretty advanced, and it's nowhere where, compared to where we were even 30 years ago. However, you just can't. We don't have the capabilities, and we probably won't for a very long time, to predict exactly where a thunderstorm will track hours before it occurs. Hours. So you could say where the general threat is going to be. But, will this one be across this county or further west? It's impossible, and probably will be, remain that way for a long time, maybe during our whole lifetime, okay? Notice, right, we have these very strong storms. They become pretty powerful, and once they move off really toward that 6, 7 o'clock hour, they use up a lot of the energy, so kind of the ones behind them may struggle to develop and be severe, but it's often the case that if there's a lot of sunshine in between, right, and these kind of just go on and produce more sunny skies, causes more things to be more unstable, and these thunderstorms are basically the atmosphere's way of trying to become stable. Everything that is unstable attempts to become stable. That's pretty, just in general throughout anything in our Earth. All chemicals, right, and in this case, all chemical compounds, everything in this case is thunderstorms. The atmosphere is unstable, it tries to become stable by producing these thunderstorms, and you can see that it is powerful. Now, you obviously are probably looking at this right here in this cold front. These up here will have very strong rain, possibly some wind and hail damage as well. Less likely for tornadoes, still a possibility. Now, after that is done and you dodged all the bullets, which, again, this may not be as bad as hopefully it could be, all right? But 4 p.m., 5 p.m., maybe you got lucky. You didn't really see much. You may be thinking the threat is over. And if you did get impacted by some pretty heavy rain, pretty strong winds, you hope that it's all over. You could get impacted by second wave. And you could see this cold front could, again, have some tornadoes embedded with these cells. They will be harder to find, it will be harder for this line to produce tornadoes, or at least large tornadoes, but it will have a much easier time producing strong winds over a widespread area. Doesn't look like a derecho event, but definitely, 50 to 60 mile per hour winds could cause damage, break some tree limbs, toss a few things around. It doesn't look to be a massive wind event, but also at the same time, these isolated little cells could have some pockets of 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, which would cause widespread damage. And not to mention the heavy rain that is associated with these things after already these storms passed through, and what's going on today with already some areas under a flash flood watch today. So that could definitely be another concern. Notice we start seeing more of a rain and snow event to the north, and across the south it passes through Mississippi, Alabama at around the 8, 9, 10 p.m. hour, and once it's late night, right, 12, 11, 10, you're most likely going to be done, and you could probably finally then rest assured that you dodged all things that had to be dodged. There could be a bit of some storm activity after this, a wraparound moisture a bit further to the north into Arkansas. You can see the HER model shows that cell right there. I think that's a bit overdone. Probably just some scattered convective T showers, some thunderstorm showers. And then the next day of severe weather is further towards the east, which unfortunately will be half of it occurring during the nighttime hours. You can see that if we look at the southeastern United States, this is at around 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning. We start seeing some pretty nasty storms move through Atlanta, right? Birmingham earlier on in the night. Though you may be a bit kind of spared by that, right? A bit of a break. And into the Florida Panhandle, Georgia, really central Georgia, into South Carolina, North Carolina. Though as you go to the north, less and less likely chance of some very, very powerful winds. But again, we start seeing those singular cells, so that could be potentially another day of tornado threat. And if you're to take a look at the third day outlook, it's already enhanced across these locations for 3 days out. So I would not be surprised to see a small area of moderate be issued, say, a day before. And this is the categorical probabilistic in terms of significant severe weather. You can see that the highest is right there. Pretty large cities in there: Charlotte, Raleigh, right, and Greensboro, Durham, and Savannah, Georgia are in those. And anywhere, even in that brown or yellow, we expect to see some potential severe weather. Let's zoom out and take a look at what could happen on like the northern side of the system, right? So there will be southern side, but there will also be a northern side, and on this northern side, more of a rainmaker, right? Not really a concern for severe weather, but that rain could be pretty heavy and kind of area after area impacting the same locations. No, the southern Indiana, Illinois, they could see some potentially significant thunderstorms. I wouldn't say severe though. Look at that. This HER model really advertises for some heavy snow right there as it pushes it away. And again, this is just one model, but I think it does a generally good job with that thunderstorm threat. The timing is consistent. And you know, again, no model can predict exactly what will happen. This is the NAM 3KM, a very good model when it comes to severe weather. Notice this is today's threat, so this is what it shows across the southeast today. Probably a bit overdone, so that may be something to keep in mind regarding tomorrow's event from this model. And notice, right, today in the evening, 7, really after 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock after sunset, we start seeing these large supercells, potentially supercells, I should say, large clusters of storms developing across Kansas. The NAM 3KM definitely is more excited about some severe thunderstorms or just strong thunderstorms across Texas than, say, the HER model. And I should say eastern Texas, not the Panhandle. Notice that this model also does advertise for some snow, and that snow could be pretty heavy, but just north of that, there could be some pretty heavy rain. And notice that as this pushes to the north, right, we see those cells, we see those 5 areas to watch for: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this kind of does start congregating. We see a very heavy rain event to the north, a pretty powerful cold front developing, stretching, almost connecting to the Gulf of Mexico right there. But again, it seems as if the Dallas, extreme eastern Texas will get spared, and it will start re-intensifying once it reaches the Louisiana area, central Louisiana. Notice that, right? This is what the NAM 3KM shows with that midday kind of severe weather threat, those isolated supercells. And notice, there we have it. A bit more focused to Alabama from this model than Mississippi. But look at that. Pretty, very potentially heavy rain across Missouri. They've been absolutely drenched these past couple of days. So that's definitely not something they want. But regardless, you can see this develops into a nice, strong system from becoming an organized low pressure to, you can see, pretty strong, nasty, and the cold front definitely does intensify, more disorganized, so maybe a better chance for tornadoes with that. And you can see pretty heavy rain threat to the north, and a bit of that snow threat dragging through into Missouri and Iowa. Look at that, just sets up across the northeast. Again, Thursday could be a next day of severe weather, but further towards the east, and some models are definitely advocating towards that. In terms of total rainfall, let's just take a look at this model, as I think it does have a bit of a better handle on this. Not precipitation type. Let's take a look at total precip accumulation, right? And notice that obviously where isolated storms will occur that are, or just thunderstorms will occur, they could drop some pretty heavy rain amounts, especially if they occur one after the other, which right there in Missouri, some amounts could see 5.5 inches, right? Now, again, this will probably not be in the same spot this model is showing, as, again, it's pretty much impossible to predict that. But notice it does show a lot of rain to the north. Chicago kind of on the line, Detroit, but anywhere south, more of a consistent kind of percent chance of seeing that heavy precipitation. That's the newest model run. This is the one from Mune, and you could see that generally really showing the same things. So definitely that's good that it's showing consistency. And then you can see eventually rain moving into New York, Pennsylvania. So not bad for those locations that need the rain. But across the Northeast, it hasn't really been dry. It's been rather wet. And this is the RAP model, another pretty good model. Just run it through, showing you the same similar setup. It's not as high res, so you can see it's a bit more dull. And it does keep this a bit further to the south, the actual low pressure. So potentially making the severe threat a bit stronger, as it has greater access to the Gulf. I know I do have quite a bit of viewers from the Illinois, Chicago, southern Wisconsin area. So for you, this system, again, the track of this and the severe weather really isn't concerned, but the more of the track of the low. You can see that some very heavy rain will set up Thursday night, Wednesday into Wednesday night, Thursday, but some models keep it just south of the Chicago area and into Detroit and mainly into northern Indiana. But again, not all models, and it seems like this is an outlier with a more of a southern scenario. But regardless, stay tuned, guys, to your National Weather Service, your weather radios, whatever you get alerts on, as I make these videos, right? But I just can't, unfortunately, keep y'all guys updated on every severe or tornado warning. Just I'm advising you, there definitely will be some, and unfortunately, you may fall under some of those. So that is basically it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all guys on the next episode. See ya. Bye.